Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Saturday Night Live. Saturday pickup from a small town. It's kind of interesting. I'm watching Buck's Live over here. It's kind of cool. Yeah, see? I'm waving at Buck. We're crossing the streams. Of course, I can't hear him because I got to have that one muted. Well, what's going on there, Auto Salvage Outlaws? New guy's guitar. Good Lord. One of these days, I'm going to get your name right. Great seeing you, man. Auto Salvage again. Rich. Hey, man, what's going on? Anybody's got any welding questions? I'll tell you what. Rich GT350R right here. This guy knows his stuff. I talk about getting the metal hot. This guy knows how to do it right. Landing Custom Classics. Cousin Mike, what's going on, man? I see you had a little bit of trouble on that geo tracker. Oh, Lord. Working on that stuff is, yeah. Special tools, yeah. And we got Turbo Time. Turbo Tom 416. Good Lord, you'd think I could learn how to talk by now. So, what's everybody been going and doing there? New Guy's Garage. Hey, there you are. The Troll Slayer. What's going on, brother? Good to see you all tonight. So, this week I finally did the video that I have been holding on for a very long time. It's a video I didn't really want to do, but I went ahead and did it. The Great Piston Swap. Oh, how to kill a YouTube channel in 20 minutes or less. Yeah, so in fact, I just got it uploaded. It'll be out probably in the morning. My take on Smoky Unix's old-timey trick of pulling the pistons out, switching them over, switching the banks, and then putting them back in. Does it work? Yes, it does. I'll let you wait for the video. It's an old school trick that does work. It's held up through decades, and Uncle Tony has brought it back into the limelight on his channel, and boy, that poor guy is taking heat over it. David Vizard has talked about it in his books and in his videos and stuff. It works, guys. How it works and why it works, yeah. Like I said, I'll let you wait for the video. Teasing you. Let's get back on here. Arrowhead, what is going on? Landon broke the rubber piece on steering box on the big Ford pickup today. Oh, the coupler, the rag joint, came apart while I was tearing down a house with my winch. Uh-oh. It pinched it. Oh, get the truck over. Well, we need to take a look at that. If it pinched the rag joint, yeah, bring the truck over. I need to take a look at that. And you was using the winch at the time. Yeah. Let's take a good look at those front frame rails. Usually what that is something is sagged, and it puts force on the steering column, and it'll snap it at the rag joint on the steering column, on your steering shaft. Something is going on there. We need to check it out. I won't tell you how I know that. It just ended up to be a very bad day, and it was a hard trip back out of the mountains. Back in my younger, dumber, foolisher years, when I followed Robert Frost's advice, and I tended to take the road less taken. I hope I didn't miss anybody in here. Colleen, always great to see you. Shell, right? Shell, great to see you again. Scarlett. And no fear, the Dougster is here. Wolverine Garage. And Robbie, love to see you in here every time, man. I look forward to your comments every time. When my lazy butt actually puts a video out, that's the other way to kill your YouTube channel in big time hurry. Quit putting content out. Consistency is king in all of this, and you break your consistency, yeah, you start all over. Dean Stevenson, our local Kiwi expert. Always good to see you, brother. And Sidewinders. Oh, and here we got a new guy. Well, kind of new. It's got a new name. Three Monkeys Garage. Oh, I hear you. That autocorrect and that autofill. Boy, you can tell when I'm commenting on my phone. It goes off on a weird thing, man. I look at those comments and go, who the hell wrote that? That's got my name on it. My smartphone tries to be smarter than me, and I keep saying it should pick on an easier target. That you should have, Landon. The best videos that are out there are the ones you forget to film. Yeah, like I was saying, it's a topic I've shied away from. I've seen so many people get so much heat off of that. But I got, and is mine right? I don't know. I just know that the other guys got extremely good results doing it, and it does work. And it's actually very reminiscent of using. If you've ever done a stroker build for a 350, you know, everybody say, oh, the easy way to get power out of a small block 350 is to stroke it out to a 383. Well, there's two different rods you can use doing that. There's the 5.7s and there's the 6-inch ones. Pretty much, if you're using the 5.7s, you're doing the same principle as that piston swap. You're changing the rod angle to about the same thing. I'm not saying do that, do the stroker build, put 5.7s in it and swap the pistons around. I'm not telling you that. I'm saying the rod angle is very similar to the same results you got back then on any engine swapping them around. That's why the 5.7 rods will up to a certain point in horsepower, they'll make a little more, but the rod angle increase cuts the durability out of them, and they don't tend to last as long as using 6-inch rods. Oh, good Lord, I'm babbling. Let's see, get caught back up here on the chat. And like I said, it's just another open mic, easy going Saturday Night Live. If you guys want to hop on in and try this live stuff, just go ahead and hit the link up there. Just let me know it's you. The best way is to have the camera on. There's been some funny money stuff going on with these lives. People are doing some kind of weird stuff. If I can see your face and I know it's you and somebody hasn't stole your name, I'll let you on in. what is that there? The Ford handbook days not to put power steering on hard lock for more than 2.5 seconds. If you do load up the steering on hard lock for more than 2 seconds, you can break the rag joint. Yeah. And on a 72, what would that be? Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, Series 4 Chevy trucks, be 67 to 72. You do the same thing and you pull it hard for too long, it'll actually pull the spring shackle mount, rip it off the frame. That's another one that I learned the hard way. Being places I probably shouldn't have been in that four-wheel drive. I had a lot of fun in that K5 Blazer, but yeah, I was in places I probably should have never have been. Oh yeah, and that's a big one that I bring up in that video. Yeah, they need to change the name. Everybody calls it ping. Oh, I got a little ping. Ping is a happy word. Ping is something like ping pong, or just a little happy ping. And you're like Bob Ross painting happy clouds, just little ping, just little ping. No, that ping is detonation. That's bad, bad stuff. And yeah, oh man, it'll wipe an engine out. It's showtime. Oh. Yep, that's a square body thing. Yep, they actually make if you lift them, especially if you put a lift on a square body Chevy, it's almost guaranteed to crack right there at the box. They make a reinforcement plate you can put in there. I always made our own, and then you just fish plate it back onto the frame. That helps tremendously. And especially if you put a good size lift on it and you cheap out and you don't buy the extended pitman arm. Not only that, you end up with bump steer and all kinds of stuff when you don't do that. Whenever people ask me to go with them to look at a lifted truck, first thing I look for is I count how many steering stabilizers they got on the front end. If that sucker is just loaded up with those Rancho steering stabilizers, they got 2, 3, 4 of them on there, walk away. Just totally walk away from that truck. That thing's got bump steer problems, and yeah, that's a can of worms you don't even want to even try to dabble in. What a lot of it is too is people try to correct the pinion angle, the driveline angle. So what they'll do is they get those shims, the axle shims. They're kind of a wedge shape, and they'll stack them in on the front end. And what they do by doing that is they take the caster completely out of it. And yeah, that truck would be all over the road. You can do that to the back because, it's not a steering. There's no caster on the rear end. So you can tip that one up that way, but on the front end, no, that's your knuckles have got to be in that angle. And the way to fix that is a lot harder. You got to cut the axle tubes, spin that pumpkin, the diff, and you got to spin that up and then re-weld the axle tubes back in. We've got a couple of them out here that are set up for a CJ. CJs are crucial because of that short little wheelbase, the little tiny drive lines. Yeah, that exaggerates all of that. And if you go to buy one and it's half done, every time they'll tell you, oh, all it needs is a drive line. What they don't tell you is because they lifted it so high that now it needs a CV drive line. And it needs all of this other work also done to it. They probably just went out and bought a set of lift blocks, stuck it on there, and then found out that the real money was about to start. Hey, old man in the shop. L&A Auto Works. Good stuff, man. Gotta have you out here this Saturday. Tony's Hot Rod. That was a good live we had last night over at JB's. I like the way you guys did that. And that's a good thing to bring up for this week on channel advice. You know, we're all getting to know each other. We all know each other's phone numbers. We're communicating back and forth. But if you have a question for somebody, reach out to them with a video. Throw it out there. It's okay if you don't know this stuff. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. But if you throw it out there, and you ask a question, hey, this is the problem I got. How do I fix this? Wow, that is an open door for everybody to pile in on. And you'll see a lot of views and a lot of subs and everything come from that one question that you had. You send me the question, I could give you my opinion on how to fix it, but you won't get anything out of it, but maybe getting the job done. You throw it on your YouTube channel, you're going to get not only my opinion, but everybody else's opinion as well. Buddy bought a Cummins the other day like that. I wound up pulling frame. Get it up, line up, not wobble. Oh yeah, that death wobble. And everybody gets to that point because lift kits, the kit itself is pretty cheap. Everything that goes with putting that kit in. Yeah, that's when the dollar signs start rolling. Amen there, Tony. I have spent enough of my life with excessively lifted trucks. Let's just put it that way. We build everything extra low now. I mean, to the point you almost need a step ladder to step down into them. Hey, World of Wood Chips, what's going on, man? I hear you, man. If you got to have a little step stool for that, it's just back breaking. You're constantly up and down and up and down. And as soon as you get up there, no matter how many times you thought about it, you're missing that one tool that's all the way back at the toolbox. So you got to climb all the way back down, go over there, and it's just not fun. When I was doing that friend of mine's little CJ, it's lifted. To work on the motor, we pulled the nose on it. Just get those fenders and everything up and out of the way so you can get right in there and work on it. When you're done, just set the nose back on it. And take the front tires off. Set it back down even farther. I'm just getting too old to be crawling up and down like that anymore. Oh Lord, we got to do an intake manifold gasket on Landon's 360 Ford. Ugh, the hardest intake there is to do, and it's up in the air. I am not looking forward to that one. I keep talking him into just rebuilding that 390. We'll just pull that 360 out and drop the 390 down in the hole. Oh, that would be easier than doing just the intake on that 360 that's in there. Oh, man. Yeah, you're about tall enough though that that'd come in handy. You want to come and help us change the intake on an FE on a lifted truck? Come on. You just reach in there and pick that up and lift it right off there, right, Tony? My 4x4, I pull tires and kneel it on my friend's hoist, and wow, what pleasure that is. Yeah, and hook it to my belt loop to get my butt back up off the ground. No, nobody can beat JB and Mr. Lars right there. I tell you what. Now, I was going to try to do this live from the shop today, but it's raining out there, and without insulation in a pole barn, it gets a little loud. You hear every single raindrop, no matter how small it is. Kind of like sitting inside of a snare drum at a rock concert. There we go. That's a little easier. Yeah, like I said, if anybody want to cop on in, I got the link up there. Just go ahead and hit the button and hop on in. Other than that, I haven't got a whole lot more done on the project on the car. Oh, I need to get busy. I need to get hot and heavy busy on that thing. But for the first run out on the car, it's, well, I won't give anything away, but it's going to be interesting. But it's all stuff I've got already, so I just got to throw it in there, get it going. Fun part is pulling that. I got to pull the steering column, and the steering column is all part of the steering box. So I got to get my pitman arm puller is real thick on the jaws. Well, this one I need a smaller jaw one to get in to pull the pitman arm off. Looking around it, or I got to pull the box, pull it up and away so I can get in there with mine and try to get it off of there. But I'm afraid of doing it that way. Everything's all wobbly then, and yeah. I want to be able to get in there, get it on, and give it some good hard cranks, and then tap it with a ball peen and then give it some more cranks and see if I can get it to shock loose off of there. I don't want to hurt the pitman arm. Even though I got a couple of them, it's just against my religion to ruin good parts. Hey, 6%, what's going on, man? Good to see you tonight. Yeah, I'll tell you. Whew. And the bad thing is there's a set of scales right across the street at a potato processing plant. So a lot of times I've got semi trucks stacked up out there just waiting to get on the scales. So I'll be in there filming, and that's the reason I got my wireless on with my lavalier right here next to me. Because if I try to film with an open mic, all you hear is them semis out there idling or another one coming in, and they just love to lay the Jake brakes down. But this kind of cancels it out, so you don't hear it as bad. But I'll tell you, when I'm filming in there, the background noise in there is loud. And then I got train tracks in front of it too, so when the train goes by, yeah, it's whistle time. But it keeps most of the rain off your head, and it's a windbreak. Summertime, it's an oven. Wintertime, it could be about 10 below outside, and by about 3 o'clock, just before the sun starts to go down, it gets almost warm enough in there from the solar heat that you can grab a hold of a wrench without it sticking to your fingers. I got to get that thing insulated. Funny thing about working in a uninsulated pole barn too, like that, it can be really warm in there, and if the humidity comes up a little bit outside and I open my overhead door just a little bit, I'll get that humidity shift with the air that comes in, and I can almost time it to the count of 12, and all of a sudden you'll get little drops. It'll condensate up on the ceiling, and then it'll start raining on the inside of the shop. My lav mics do a good job filtering. If only I could get them to filter out the daggum neighbor's barking dog. I hear you, man. Yeah, if you notice in my videos in the wintertime, I got that pellet stove out there. It's a pellet stove. You can actually sit on it while it's going. You can put your hands on it. It doesn't put off a whole lot of heat that way. It pushes it all out through the tubes as it's blowing through it. Anyway, you'll notice I got all my wrenches laid out across the top of it. That's exactly why. I can grab it, run over there and work on something, then I go over and put it down, and yeah, it stays just warm enough that it don't stick to my fingers. Last year, when I was pulling the motor out of that motorhome to put into the Fairlane, the car I'm working on now is actually a Tudor. Tudor 300 is what it is, which is Ford's bottom baseline one. Same year though, it's in '58. But anyway, when I was pulling that 460 out of that motorhome, put in into the 58 Fairlane. I was doing it right around the springtime, and when it was melting off the shop and it was hitting my asphalt that's right out in front of my door. And as soon as it hit the asphalt, it was cold enough there that it would instantly freeze again. Well, I'm sitting underneath the car and I'm working along, and all of a sudden I couldn't get up. My ass was literally frozen to the ground. Rolling over like a turtle on his back, trying to break my butt loose of the ice. Oh, I laugh every time I come to that part in that video when people comment on it. I got to go back and rewatch what the heck it was I was doing. The joys of working in the winter outside. Yeah. At the asphalt company, I had a coworker who worked the oil fields in North Dakota. Yeah. He used to work bench with thick metal top with a semi and heister stuck at the bottom. Cool. I have to keep that in mind. Those great big electric uh, oil pan heaters for like semi trucks. Oh, yeah, right there. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. Then when you need oh man, I would love to have a welding table, big, thick top, countertop like that. Oh, fabrication table, what I mean. If I hadn't gotten the furnace set up in my garage this winter, I would have been able to do any workout. I wouldn't have been able to do any work out there. Yeah, you guys get about as cold as it does down here, but you guys got a little humidity that comes off them lakes. Here, we get a really dry cold because of the desert out there. The snow we get is usually like powder. It just ice, just ice. It looks like snow. It's always pretty fluffy. Until it sits on the ground for a little while, and then then it gets sticky. You get those winds off the lakes, yeah, like auto salvage saying here. Yeah, that gets brutal. And the Dakotas, there ain't nothing out there to stop that wind, and it shoots down from Canada. All those years on the road, one of the hardest runs we did, we had a spring show in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's all the way at the very end, right down on the corner of South Dakota. Just as we pulled in, they closed the freeway. What is that? That's not 80. I forget the name of what number the freeway is for that. Runs all the way to Sioux Falls. Anyway, that wind, they shut it down for the wind. And my goodness, and it was a freezing wind to boot. We was going along there, 45 mile an hour is as fast as the bus would go, hauling the monster truck and everything with us. That's the hauler we lived in. It was kind of converted into a bunkhouse that would haul the truck and everything with us. It was an old school bus. And in fact, that uh, rat rod that you seen, that's where that school bus tin came from that we built the floor out of and everything. It's the leftovers from our conversion. Hey, Dutch guys, what's going on? It's good sheet metal, but I'll tell you what, they build a school bus out of some heavy duty stuff. That sheet metal is thick, and try to get that paint off. Yeah, they build them things, or they used to build them things to last forever, and they are rock solid. But sheet metal on them's good and thin, and if you're into metalworking and you want to get into it, go find you an old school bus if you can, like in a junkyard or something, and pop those rivets out and take a panel because they're thick enough that if you want to learn how to like do some planishing work and how to work an English wheel, it molds and it works and it'll do that stuff a lot easier than trying to do it with super thin stuff. You can really get a lot of uh, movement with them with that thicker stuff, and it's not too hard of sheet metal to make it tough, and it's cheap because you just go to the junkyard that's got an old school bus in there, yank a couple panels off, and there you go. You got all kinds of practice material. Try to make a fender or anything out of it. There's a reason I moved from Massachusetts to Virginia. Got tired of the long winters. I hear you, man. Especially those New England ones up there. Massachusetts? Oof. Not only that, but their car rules up there to get your car on the road. Wow, is Massachusetts strict on a lot of stuff. There's another guy on here called Smacky's Garage. He's from Massachusetts, and he's got some really cool stuff. If you guys haven't checked out Smacky, go check him out. He's, like I said, really good stuff. But he's up there, and he's told us all about the ins and outs of living in deep in the heart of New England like that. So, what's everybody been working on? Like, and if you have any questions or anything, just go ahead and pop them in the chat there, or come on in. I think my link is still up there. Let me check. Yeah, it looks like it's still up there. But back on that, a little dibble dabble of the channel advice. If you have a question on how to get something or how to do something, like JB was having a question on his transfer case, it's nothing really big. He probably could have figured it out if he would have, dove into it. But he reached out to somebody and said, "Hey, you know anything about this?" And Tony, you had a great idea. Let's do it on YouTube. Perfect, because then you interact with the whole community, and you get something more out of it than just asking a buddy about the advice and then getting the information back and then maybe doing a video on putting it together. You get more out of it that way if you just launch it out there. Tell everybody, hey, this looks kind of weird. What do I do to fix this? Golden opportunities. boy, you learn real quick that YouTube is full of experts. Boy, there's lots of guys on here that are just experts at everything, if you know what I mean. That's some pretty stiff competition if you're trying to do a how-to channel. But boy, if you throw a question out there to them, well, you turn your competition into your viewers. So there you go. Working on roofing the garage, cleaning the garage, fixing tools, fixing the appliances in the house, and every once in a while get to work on one of the cars. Yeah, I hear you. Spring has sprung here hardcore, and yeah, now it's spring cleanup. And every 4 years, the power company comes through and they wipe out my trees. So any of them that are, because I got a main power line that runs the whole length of the front of the property here. So when they come through, I got lots of cleanup to do. And then back on the horse pasture part of the property, well, it's kind of hard to get a truck back there. So they just cut them and drop them. And I got to go out and pull them out of the way and then reset my electric fence up for the horse. And yeah, it's just, springtime is a pretty busy time. I am qualified in everything. I struggle not to tell everyone. I take your advice up on any day of the week. I hear you, man. And it's cars, when you get into this stuff, especially custom work, you'll find that there's 100 ways to do everything. So your way of doing it might not be somebody else's way of doing it, but they both will get the job done. So you kind of get what I mean on it. When it comes into custom work, it's just kind of more of a seat of the pants kind of thing. So if you throw it out there and somebody's got some other advice on it, yeah, it's good to pull that advice in. Me and my dad's favorite saying is, it's a rat rod. And that's good advice too if you're building a rat rod. Always have somebody there to tell you, okay, enough. Because if you don't, you just might go from a rat rod to a trinket rod. And everybody knows what a trinket rod is. It's usually the ones that get called a rat rod. They're the ones with just too many decorations on them. I'll just put it that way. What a great job that'd be too, huh? Twisted Mopar. Anyone look over my recent videos? Any advice I need to do better on? I suck at video. Yeah, I still do. I don't know if I can do the screen share with this. I haven't tried that yet. Still working on this new computer. It's a little different. Let's see. I'll probably end up blowing something up here, but You can tell there, you can probably hear me hitting the keys. It's got the old clickety-clack keys. Kind of like that, though. Twisted Mopar Garage. There we go. And before we get too far, we'll mute that one. Twisted Mopar. There we are. This is kind of Buck's domain, but why not? Let's give it a shot here. Looking down through. I see you did pretty good on that short. You got it titled 71 Challenger Fender Repairs, First Coat of Primer Applied. Let's see, go down to, what I do when I do this is I go down to the 3 dots that it shows, click on that, and then open the description. Oh, okay. There ain't one. Let's come down here a little, okay. Repair 71 Challenger Fender. Your title on that one is a little bit broad. I'd go into more detail. Tell them how you put those patches in. Looks like you're using like the mud dauber, how you mud daub in. Again, I got it muted so I can't hear your voice, but looking at it there. Okay, now let's go over here. Check out the description. Oh, ain't none. Okay. Well, Twisted. When you're doing that, my biggest advice for you on that is, like I said, work your title a little more and add in a description. You seen how hard it was for me to find the description? Yeah, nobody else is going to be reading that, but the YouTube algorithm does. And that's where it gets the information on where to put up your video. So go in there and fill out your description, explain what it is you've done and what you're doing with it. And then YouTube will be able to figure out where to put that video. Oh, looks like we got somebody else wanting to come on in here. Hey, what's going on? Everything horsepower?
Well, what's going on with you? I'm doing good.
What you been working on?
Tonight?
What's that?
How you guys doing?
Not too bad. Hanging in there. Dealing with spring and sprung.
You guys getting warm?
Yeah, we're finally getting warm now. Well, today's a big whopping 54.
How about that?
But...
Oh, wow. How about that 58 Ford? Are you getting that ready for the no-name?
Yep. I got her in the shop. I got the nose off of it and got everything all cleaned up in it. And she's getting ready to go now.
Are you going to try to make the big block Ford work again?
Nope. She's still going to be the Y block.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm still using the same plan. It's just a different car now.
Okay. So what Y block are you using?
It's actually a 239 out of a 1955 F500.
Oh, what do you got for an intake and everything?
That's the thing about the 239. The only one they make.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not super savvy on the Y block, so.
The 292, the 312 are interchangeable.
Okay.
But the 239, it's the only one you can run.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna have to be a little creative. Put a 4-barrel on it.
A 56 Ford, a friend of mine had one with a 2 4-barrel setup. And it had those 2 toilet bowl style carburetors on it.
The old teapots.
Yeah. Yeah, those things were crazy looking.
And the whole way they operate, they're
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we called them toilet bowl carbs. I don't know what the hell they're supposed to be called, but we called them toilet bowl carbs. But they did. They looked like everything was way up on top out in the middle of nowhere. It was just a strange looking setup.
The way I understand it, that was the first 4 barrels. Holly developed it.
Yeah, they were. They were a Holly carburetor. That's right. I heard what show? I was watching some show somewhere, and they were talking about they had somebody, an older Holly person on there. Actually, no, it was a Holly taking them through their museum, and they were showing a picture.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
They got one of them in there?
I didn't realize it was theirs. And they were showing it, and I said, that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure I would have held that up as my history, but but I guess you got to be proud of it no matter what. But I know they had some Ford stuff there years ago. They had a 2-barrel on a 6-cylinder that I remember being Holly. It had a glass bowl on it.
The old, what was that? Holly 94? Holly's version of the Stromberg.
The Stromberg. Yeah. This one was different. The one I'm talking about was a different setup. But yeah, I remember seeing some of those Hollies. It looked like a 3-flange Stromberg. Yeah. We had a what the hell was it? A 6 2-barrel intake. Everything worked at the same time. There was no progressive throttle whatsoever. Yeah, and those
I love them things.
Yeah, those were. So we had them all mixed up. There were some Strombergs and some Hollies and all kinds of stuff. We were trying to make that thing run. Back when we were kids, we had that. It was pretty wild because I mean, when you hit them, all 6 carburetors opened at the same time, and by golly, it was pretty sharp. But either it worked or it didn't. There was no mid range at all. It was just on or off. It was almost like an old Halbrand setup. It was just it worked. It worked pretty good full throttle, and it worked pretty good at idle. Everywhere in the middle was, it was kind of questionable.
Progressive. It didn't run off the 2 centers and then open the out.
Wow. No. All 6 ran together, and we were gonna mess around making it progressive, but it had a weird plenum setup, and I'm not sure it ever was really going to work progressive. It was kind of it was the way it was. It sort of had. It might have worked. I'm trying to remember exactly
over this way, and then the other bank come over this way.
Kind of cross rammed. That's right.
Yeah.
And it had a bit of a plenum on the one side. You may have been able to make it work on the 2 center carbs. I don't know. It's kind of weird, Anyway,
I always loved that setup, though.
Yeah, it was cool looking. It was really cool looking. It belonged to the buddy's truck. He had a 54 GMC he was doing. I think he ended up selling the truck, and I sold that 6 2-barrel deal in a swap meet there. Never really did perfect it. We just had fun. We were kids. We just had fun playing with it. That was years ago. We drove it on the road one time. Of course, no bed on the truck, no fenders on the truck. We just took it up the road. It was pretty snorty, but of course there was no body on it, so it needed to be pretty. It didn't weigh anything at that point, so I never did know how that was going to work. I would imagine it would have been a little shady. A lot of that old stuff was, it made more horsepower, but drivability maybe wouldn't have been that great.
That's what launched Victor Edelbrock, was that intake right there.
That 6.2?
Yep.
Really? I didn't realize that. I didn't.
That's the one that went over 1 for 1.
Oh, yeah. I thought he started out more on the old flathead stuff.
A little bit, but Chevy or GM really backed him. And that it was when they were doing the competition to go 1 for 1.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to do it carbureted. And that's what he did. That's what he developed for that.
That's the one he got him with.
Mm-hmm.
It
actually went a couple over.
Yeah. That injected engine was their first 1-to-1.
Yeah. That was the
And,
first one.
Yeah. But their 2.4 engine, honestly, at the same era, that Power Pack 2.4 engine made more horsepower than more usable horsepower than the injection did. That's a general rule. If you put them side by side in a race, a lot of times the injected engine they were very fussy. They were very, very fussy. Yeah. Smokey Unit claimed it was under hood pressure drove him crazy. He had a claim where he made some air ducts to get the under hood pressure out of them, and they picked right up. And I mean, he did have some too that were leading in Daytona and this sort of thing until they had injector problems. But they were fast, but they're fast for the day. But they were finicky. I messed with one of them one time, and it was just a short period of time. We just played with it a little bit. Guy asked me something about it. I never really learned that mechanical fuel injection stuff. That's I think that's kind of a black art, you know. The guys, if they were into it, they were, you know, real good. But I could never claim that one.
I heard they're actually pretty simple, but it's totally different.
It is. They're simple. You know, I mean, there's not a lot of moving parts, but that air valve deal, there's a setup on the or air fuel valve that is kind of weird. You know, it's just that you got to set the high side and the low side and try and make everything happy in between. That's what we were playing with there, and it was just I don't know. I would say. Most of that stuff when I work on it, I like to understand what I'm doing, and on that one, I really didn't. I can't say that I understood 100% what I was doing. We were kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see if it would stick, you know. So I wouldn't brag about my ability on mechanical fuel injection. You give me a carburetor,
I've only messed with diesel, old diesel injectors. I've rebuilt one of them. That's my claim to fame on them. One.
The diesel injection stuff is a little more straightforward because you don't have, you're not messing with air trying to atomize fuel. That, I always found that pretty straightforward. Not that I ever rebuilt an injection pump, but I was into injectors and everything else on those, and they're pretty straightforward specimens.
Simple. Yeah.
We used to do a lot of them back in the day, but that. You know, well, of course, on the farm we had to deal with farm tractors, and we had to deal with the old 6.2 diesels. Seemed like we were always doing an injection pump on those things, so we got real handy at changing pumps and that sort of thing. But and then those engines, there was always some kind of an issue you had to mess with. They were pretty good engine if you didn't want horsepower, but I mean they had some weird little oddball things that gave them trouble. We get into. We had one.
You're looking for torque.
Oh yeah. We had one of those come in here, and God, it wouldn't run. I mean, it smoked like hell, wouldn't pull, and we couldn't figure it out. I worked on that thing for a couple days, and they'll run when they shouldn't run. So come to find out, the crankshaft key had broke, and it was about a quarter turn at a time, and I don't know why it even ran at all, but it would keep. It would run, and I pulled it. I finally decided it must be out of time, and I pulled the timing cover off, and all the timing marks still lined up. So then I was really confused, and I don't know. I can't remember what I did do, but I figured out when I actually had the engine at real top dead center, I had valves open, so I started looking a little bit more. Found out that crank key had turned, and I couldn't believe the thing would actually run because it was so far out. If it was a gas motor, there's no way it would never have run. Now, I mean, it didn't run good, but you could turn the key, it would fire off, and it would go. And that puzzled me. I don't, but they're a weird diesel too because they got that pre-combustion chamber and all that stuff. So they're an oddball. But I was amazed. The damn thing would go.
Speaking of broken crank key, there's a guy that's also on the net here. He's one of my mods. Even he's named Ari Dabarina. He's got a little 61 Chevy. Apache with a 235 in it, the old stove bolt.
Yep.
And it just let go on him. I was going to do a moment of silence for him on my live here, but I think that's what it was. I think he might have dropped the crank key and dropped that timing gear up, because it's gear to gear timing on those. I hope that's
Yes,
what's
but they
wrong.
also
I was thinking about that just before I fired my live up.
They have a fiber gear in there too. That
on those ones in them years.
Yeah, I believe that one has that fiber gear. It's,
really?
Yeah. It's been a while since I've been into one of them. One of those 06s. I'm pretty sure it's that Stoll bolt, and maybe not all years, but I know I'm sure some of them have that fiber gear. The cam gear.
Yeah, it's on the cam side. Yeah.
Yep. So that's possible that has failed, but it's also possible it bent the valves and everything else that it did. So he could be into that one away. And those darn engines, they're pretty good engines, but they're expensive to rebuild. You can rebuild
anymore. Yeah.
Price of one of those. Yeah, they're just awful. The last couple of them I did, I had like $3,000 in parts. It's made no sense for a stock, 6-cylinder engine.
Straight six.
I think if they just left them. Yeah. When you get all done, you got 140 horsepower, and not a very delicate thing on fuel consumption. So, they're a tough little engine. They run kind of nice, too. But that's kind of where it ends. That's the good part is over.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do a 302 GMC. I know there's a couple of them, but good Lord, the prices on them is just,
Yeah.
Scary.
And then you had that 12-cylinder version, which I don't know if they just crammed two of those engines together or what the hell they did to create that.
Oh, the V6. No, I was talking the straight six one.
Oh, the oldest. Oh, yeah. That is that a 302 or is that a 299?
No, 302.
Okay.
The 305 was the straight six.
Right? Yeah.
Or am I backwards?
Boy, again, not a super common engine, and I wouldn't.
They're the size of a big block V8.
They're huge. They're probably heavier than a big block V8. Looking at them, they're kind of crazy big. But they did have that. They made a 12-cylinder version of that.
Yeah,
thing.
And it's just two of them stuck together.
Yeah, it's just a weird setup. It probably pulled all right for the day, but I would imagine it must have been pretty torquey. That was a long stroke engine, fairly slow turning long stroke engine.
Yeah.
I would imagine it. I imagine it might have pulled pretty good for the time,
There's a guy on here called Wayland's Iron. Yeah, Wayland's Iron. He does a lot of rat rods and stuff. He's out of Washington. He's got a rat rod with one of them in it.
Really? I bet that's pretty cool.
Really cool looking thing. It was a stationary. It actually is, a V12.
Yeah.
That he got out of a
block. It's one of those GMC V12s, or it's a
GMC V12.
Yeah. And is that block cast as one piece, or is it two blocks?
No, they're actually stuck together. They bolt together.
They bolt together. Huh. That's wild. That's just
wild. I have to check out his video. It's just awesome.
Yeah. What's the name of his page or his channel?
Wayland's Iron.
Wayland's Iron. I got to go look at that. That sounds like that'd be pretty interesting. I'm gonna mark that down. I'll forget it this time of night. Wayland's Iron. I got to go check that out. That'd be pretty cool. But, I bet that's a bit front end heavy, but it'd be an awful neat looking rig.
It's in I don't know what year it is. It's like a 37, 38 Chevy big truck. It uses that cab and it's got that nose on it up way out there.
Yeah, that thing must be. I bet that engine. What would that block be? Must be more than 4 foot. Just the bare block. That would be quite a. You'd have to have quite a hood on that thing. But
You
that's
look
bigger
down at
rat
it,
rods.
just the V6 one.
Yeah,
It looks like a big block.
yeah.
Then
It
you get
is.
the side, and it's
It's a
only got 3 exhaust ports coming out of both
yeah.
sides.
Yeah, I know the first one of those I saw. I was a little confused by it. They're pretty interesting rig. But anyway, that
But
would
like
be.
you
I'd have to
said,
go check that out.
they're a slow turning torque
Yep,
V6.
they were made for truck application. I mean that's what their job was. I had one of those old a '54 GMC dump truck, and that had their bigger six. It was a 261, I think, or something like that.
There it is.
And that I loaded.
Waylon Wires Old Iron. That's the name of his channel.
Okay, what is it?
Waylon Wires Old Iron.
Whalen Wires, old iron. But yeah,
Neat old guy. Real neat old guy.
I'll bet he is to build something like that. That must be pretty cool. That's you got to have an imagination to start that thing. And, I like I say, I pulled with some of the old 6-cylinder engines, but I never got a hold of one of those GMC V6s. I had a GMC straight six, and we'd load that full of sand, and it pulled better than you'd think. I mean, you weren't going to break any speed limits, but you could actually go up a pretty good hill, and it was geared down enough that you weren't panicking you were going to go down it backwards. She'd pull right up through there. But I never got a hold of one of those other ones there. I know my uncle back in the day, he used to have gravel trucks, and they had all those old gas ones. One of my cousins he had a bunch of Dodges at one time. My cousin just brought me a bunch of those old 413 cranks and stuff. So right now I've got a pretty wide selection of steel 413 cranks if anybody needs any. Because he'd rebuild those things and run the hell out of them, But he had a bunch of leftover stuff. I got some 413 heads too, but they're all the truck heads. I don't think they're any good. But those steel truck cranks should make a pretty good crank, We do some. We take those 366 engines and 427 truck engines and use those cranks in 454 blocks to make 427s, and they're pretty nice crank. We get those balanced. We got one in a Vega. We're turning that thing 75 to 7600, no problem at all. It's got good rods and good rods and pistons, and it's balanced. But that steel crank, it's a strong crank. It doesn't bother it a bit.
And you got that in a Vega?
In a Vega, yeah. It's got 2 Dominators, 2 big old Dominators on it, and big Brody heads, and what is it, 808 lift, 290 duration at 50 solid roller cam. So it dynoed 650. I would have thought it was going to make a little bit more, but it's not the most. The top end is really too big. It's a freak show car. It's not. It wasn't made. I mean, the top end on that engine should probably be on a 632 or something, not on a 427. But it is wild. I had a mishap with it, and the 2-step didn't work, and 2-step was set at 4900, and the big chip was set at 7600, and it runs so smooth. I had my helmet on and everything. I guess I didn't even realize it wasn't on the chip on the 2-step. I left at 7,600. It was very exciting there for just a minute or two. It went up in the air, and went up in the air quick.
Oh, it's good to see you there, Caesar's 103 Customs. Got a little peek of what it is you're working on there.
He disappeared.
Teasing us.
Yeah, he'll probably make it back.
47 Dodge Coupe, short 41-inch, 6 VT, 5-speed, plum crazy purple. Yeah, if you want, come on back in and talk about it. Those 413 truck cranks are the same as any 440 steel crank.
I think they're a shorter
I
stroke.
don't
I'm not 100% sure. I actually can measure that. I've got a 440 crank. I've got a 440 engine sitting here to do. I should actually measure that and find out. I could confirm or deny it.
I love 4-piston ring, 366 tall deck, big block Chevs. I don't have any experience with them.
No, they're torquey. They're a truck engine. It's but those 4-piston rings, and it's a lot of parasitic drag, so they're not an RPM engine. They're a torque engine. The 427 was the same. That was it had the 4-piston rings, tall deck deal. They were made to work.
Oh, it looks like he's trying to come back in here. Hey there, Caesar. Caesar?
I had to bust your chops for a second because I saw that dually that you built. I liked it. And I'm building something similar myself.
Oh, all right. Cool.
How are you tonight?
Not too bad. Looks like you got it going on there.
Yeah, I tried to spray some paint on it today, the acrylic. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I didn't get the overlap right. So it's almost like there's a racing stripe in between each layer.
Oh, call that a beginner's flame job, right?
Yeah, it looks like a fade. I'm almost skilled at the fade, it looks like. I did it on purpose, but it's not the case.
Oh, that's cool.
You're bringing that dually to No Name Nationals?
Sir Rat, we're trying. It all depends on
Yeah,
Dad's
I'm going to
health.
try to bring it. Time will tell
If
you.
Dad's good and healthy, it's either going to be that one or the Volkswagen that's almost about the same.
Oh, wet sanded.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to build. Boy, that one was a head scratcher. And I don't ever want to mess with twin I-beam ever again.
That looks like everything that you did was custom and from the ground up. It wasn't reusing anything. It was all fresh stuff, like the frame.
Yeah, that started out as two 20-foot sticks, a 2x4.
Of just steel on
Yep.
a pallet. Yeah. Oh.
What made you use the twin I-beam suspension on it?
It was sitting there in the shop.
I thought you had a love for variable camber.
Oh, and I got to looking on the internet, looking at you type in rat rod twin I-beam, and it had been done, but everybody puts it on top like it's supposed to be.
All right, stay well.
Hey, I was hoping we were going to get a better tour of that.
Oh, man. I was just babbling. I didn't mean to scare you.
He left me hanging. Man, I like the looks of that. He started going around it, and I thought we were going to get a good look. That thing looks pretty cool with that diesel in it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it looks like he might have kind of a neat hot rod on his hands when he gets it done. Fun project. I had a 4VT I wanted to put in a 52 Chevy truck, but somebody came along and wanted it more than I did. I thought it was going to make a really cool shop truck, and then I ended up selling it. I kind of wish I still had it, but it's so damn hard to get time to work on my own. You end up working on everybody else's, and geez, it's really tough. I took a little time. I took a little time there last week to work on one of mine, and that's just it's very difficult to do.
Yeah. That's exactly right. You get tired of tripping over it, so you decide, I got to stick this into something.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty much where all of them have come from. It's just leftover stuff that has been around the shop. That motor is actually the spare motor from the monster truck. We had two of them, and when we sold the truck, of course, that one went away, but the spare one sitting down in the basement of the shop, well, the pit that we never use anymore, it was down in there forever, and we got to put that into something, and that all came from there. But to do it again, I wouldn't do that. It's too heavy. It's way too heavy of stuff.
Yeah.
That truck weighs
But
out pretty heavy, and sitting that close to those duals, yeah, you feel that tire weight right in your back. It rides.
That's part
good.
of what makes that truck look pretty cool, though, too. Yeah. But it looks cool with that, that the way you got that truck laid out and everything. It looks cool.
You. It was literally on the way to the crusher.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. A lot of that, it saves it. I mean, some people cry when they see a rat rod, but a lot of those rat rods would be crashed, if somebody didn't do something with them because they're sitting there not complete. So, and to try and make them complete is it.
No way you could have restored that one. Absolutely no way.
Well, I mean, you can do anything, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You're just going to go in the poorhouse doing it. And, there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow at all.
By the time you bought all the replacement panels for the cab, you wouldn't have anything left. You would have bought every piece.
Bought every panel known to man. What are you going to put in the 58 for a transmission?
The 3-speed.
The 3-speed.
Yep.
You're
just going right on back.
You're old school.
Yep. I'm putting it on the tree too.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can swing the tree.
Oh yeah. Those are I kind of like them. We used to drive them a lot. They're fun. They're different. I mean, it's a lot less boring than an automatic.
And that's all it is. It's just something different. I'll probably go down there and just get absolutely spanked by everything that comes up. But it's just fun.
You won't have the fastest rig out there, nope. But it'll be a cool.
I'll have the only one.
It'll have a good look. Yes, more than likely. There was a guy that won the Engine Masters Challenge with a Y block though.
Oh really?
Yes.
Was that those kids? That school?
Oh shit. I don't think so. Seems like it was I remember reading about the guy. I'd have to go back and relook at that. But whoever it was, they did a lot. I mean, a lot. They had rigged. They had used some parts from different kinds of engines and whatnot, and rigged up a tunnel ram setup on it, and it was very impressive, the horsepower it made. I mean, the fact that a Y block won that deal was almost insane. Nobody expected it, and they put that together and they made it work. And
Y block ain't nothing. They make power, but they don't like to live long. Oh, there you are, man. There he is. I'm so sorry about the Apache, brother. We was just talking about it. Hopefully, and it's that fiber gear. It wouldn't be nylon back then; it'd be fiber.
No, it looks like a brown fiber. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know what.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Hopefully, it hasn't bent the valves. Their combustion chambers in those heads are pretty deep. It may not. Cam doesn't lift very much either. I don't know if they'd interfere or not. Most engines do, but you might get away with it.
Yeah, on that one, they go way up inside on the head.
Way up, way up. The valve's almost vertical in that head too.
Yeah.
So it may not really interfere because back I think the valve is. I don't think it's almost vertical. I think it is vertical. So it may not hit. You may get lucky on that one. I've got a 235. We're getting ready to pull out of a 56 Chevy, so it be just a matter of shipping it.
Oh.
yeah. It costs more than 2 engines. We bought one. It had been sitting since '87, I think, and bought it as being seized up. And I poured acetone and ATF down it and had it running that night.
Oh, really? It broke
Yep.
it that fast, huh?
It's something, I don't know how it broke that fast. First thing I did was pour it full of that stuff and took the plugs all out and poured them all full. But I mean, you could grab it and it didn't even try to turn. It was solid, like a rock solid. And then all of a sudden it turned. And I was shocked, to say the least. And I had those cylinders all full of ATF and acetone, and I reached down and clicked across that starter. I thought it turned, and I'm standing on the plug side with no plugs in it. And I took a bath.
Shotgun you right out of the side, huh?
I mean, my wife walked out to the garage. I was standing there without a shirt on. She says, "What are you doing?"
You hold up the shirt, it looks like a bloody mess.
Oh man! I think I had a red shirt on, so it did. I was ready for battle, But man, I tell you, it's surprising. I couldn't believe the motor turned that good and that fast. And it just that stuff came out of there like a shotgun, and I was nailed. But then we get the darn thing running, and I mean it runs sweet. And I poured a carburetor truck full of that stuff. I just poured it down the intake till it was full, right up to the throat of the carburetor. And that thing, you can jump in it, turn the key, pops off and runs. I have never taken the top of the carburetor off. I never cleaned the carburetor. I never did anything. I can't even imagine. It's the first time I've ever seen anything even remotely like that. But I poured the brakes were seized solid. We pulled the master cylinder off it, poured that stuff in the master, left it overnight, and it was all rusted crap. The next day, the master cylinder was clean, just like brand new cast iron inside.
Yep.
So I would say it breaks rust very effectively. It seemed like a pretty good outfit. But anyway, that old 6-cylinder, it runs perfect. As soon as we get it through inspection, we here inspecting the old cars is a pain. So we'll run it through inspection with the stock driveline, and then it's going to have a different driveline right quick. So it's my kid's. Yeah, it's my kid's car, and he's got a 6-liter sitting there with Holley injection and the 88 millimeter turbo. So it looks like Grandpa's car. It's a 4-door sedan, stock wheels. It'll be a sleeper.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, hey. Dadgum, I got royalty on here. What's going on, Ari?
Not a whole bunch. I'm over here dealing with the 6-cylinder. Get you guys close. You can see the timing gear. I don't know if that's picking up on the camera.
Yeah.
Seen better days.
Mm-hmm.
That is looking better though.
I didn't get any play out of the rod, into the bearing caps or anything like that. So I think that may be a whole problem, but I was still pretty, I don't know if you guys saw the video. There was a pretty significant knock. I was pretty worried about that. So I'm still kind of skeptic, but that seems to be the only damage. There's nothing else in the oil pan, no weirdness. So
when you roll it now, does it still do it? Have you still got a knock in it? Or have you left it?
You know, what I've been hearing I jumped it with the starter a couple times. I've still been hearing the knock. So like I said, I'm a little bit worried, but I don't know. I'm tempted to try to fix it, and in the same breath, I'm kind of, I'm pretty close on that V8, so I might just try to go that direction. But
I think I'd throw a timing gear on it and try it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gear is like $60-$70 or something, so I'd feel kind of dumb not to. But yeah, you can see I've been I've been thrashing.
Yeah. I think you should try the timing gear because Lord knows what you're hearing there. That's
I got to turn this thing on. That's better, right?
yeah, so
There you go.
yeah. That's a 61 engine, not an older one.
It's I believe the casting says 59, but so I guess that would be correct for a 1960 truck. But
Yeah.
I didn't realize until today. I took the head off and the pistons are stamped 40 over, so it's had a rebuild at some point.
Yeah. I was just wondering if it was pressure rod bearing or Babbitt.
Oh, it's pressurized.
Yeah.
I got that much, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah. It should. I'd put a gear in it and give it a try.
Sure couldn't hurt, right? If it knocks, it'd probably still get me home.
It sure will. It sure will. So you get the head off and everything. You don't see any valves, no valves hurt, no nothing.
No, I mean, here, let me, you guys got better eyes than me, that's for certain. Let's see if I can get this lined up. Okay, we're starting.
None of them are
Let's start over here. This would be number 1. Come on, Ari. It's backwards. I should be good at it. I do everything backwards.
And there's no marks on the pistons.
I mean, there were some slight marks, but I don't know if that's just from heat off the valves burning the carbon. There was no dents in the pistons. There were no dents in the pistons themselves.
A valve coming into it.
The edge of those intake valves look almost like they shadowed a little bit on the piston. I don't know if that in the wild if it looks like that or just on camera, but you can see a little discoloration along one edge of your intake valve.
Yeah, you're actually correct there.
So maybe you were hearing that. It may have been touching just a little bit.
Well, that was the issue, though, is once I had the head off, I was still hearing the knock when I cycled the engine. So
really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I was kind of worried because Doug, I can't see the comments. He's probably talking to me right now. But Doug was telling me, he searched. He's like, no, it's a non-interference engine. Because that was my first thought. Is like, oh my God, what do I have going on in this thing?
Yeah.
So
I didn't think they were interference, but I wasn't sure. So.
Yeah, these things are hard to kill, and just like Steven Seagal. But but yeah, I think I think I found a way to kill at least part of it for now. I don't know. You said, excuse me.
Is it possible you're hearing that gear kind of rattling?
I mean, that could be. I don't know. I don't know. I want you guys to hear it. I was in. I ran it for a short period in my last video. If you guys get a chance to, obviously not right now, but you can kind of hear it for yourself. But it's a steady knock. It sounds very suspect. You know what I mean? Like it makes me apprehensive. But
on here, it sounds metallic.
Yeah, definitely. It's not great, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just finally got the pan off. I didn't. Of course, as soon as I have almost enough clearance to get the pan off, so I have to jack it up by that front engine mount, the 2 little bolts, just to get the clearance. And then there's those 2 funky bolts that go in from the oil, like from the crank housing, like right behind it. And I got those out. Finally got the timing cover off, and that's how I was able to see the gears. So.
Yeah.
How do the push rods look?
Push rods looked really good, actually. I was so shocked at how decent a lot of this stuff was. I was expecting the whole rocker assembly to be gacked up and full of everything, but I was actually getting some decent top end oiling, which is kind of rare for these things. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the push rods look decent. Lifters look good. I popped a couple of them out. No weirdness there. I got the bearing.
You've looked over your rod bearings a little bit.
I got the cap off of cylinder 1 right here, and I mean it doesn't look. I don't feel like it looks horrible, but I kind of. Let me see if I can get that to.
Yeah, it shouldn't be knocking.
Yeah, at that rate, I kind of want to look a little deeper because again, that's a very significant knock. I might find some anomaly somewhere that I'm not. You look at these Coke bottles; these things are for real. So, but yeah, I've just been, I kind of got a late start today. I was pretty tired after last night. It stressed me out, seeing this thing like that. But,
Oh, I can
I couldn't get her
imagine.
started. But yeah, I got kind of a late start, but I got most of it torn down within a couple hours, and just I finally took a break to eat, hung out with the lady for a while, and got a burrito in, prepared myself mentally, and took the oil pan off. So that's where I'm at now.
One thing you could do
And,
with it is take that timing gear off and spin it over and just see if it still makes noise or not.
Yeah, definitely. I should probably get a
See
gear
if
puller
it's-
on. It's not like it's doing any good on there.
No, it needs change no matter what you do. And then if
Yeah,
you
I
still
was-
hear a noise, then you may have to maybe then get worried.
Yeah, pretty much. If I'm still that worried, I'll just pull the motor, make my boss deal with the truck being here. But
You'll probably like the
But yeah,
V8 better once it's in there anyway. But
100%. You know what I mean? I love this old 6-cylinder, but you know, it's more for just the sound than anything. Using it's difficult. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you it wasn't work to drive this thing.
yeah,
But
I don't know.
but it's fun.
That's not your only one, though, right? You've got other wheels, right?
Yeah, I was able to. My pop sells used cars, and he's got like a couple that he always holds on to, like one SUV and one car. So I was just driving his SUV right now. So that he was kind enough to loan me that. Hubie offered me the keys to his Duramax. I almost teared up.
That's the great
Well,
thing about this community, right there.
Like I'm not worthy, man. I appreciate you guys. It's you know what I mean. I do all right with do all right in my own capacity, but you know, you guys are seasoned. At the end of the day, I'm not even really a mechanic. I'm an antique collector with wrenches. So it's like I appreciate all you guys. You know what I mean. It's you saved me. You saved my ass.
Well, it looks like you're doing all right. You got it apart and you're looking it over. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, pretty much. I can do that much. I'm really great at teardowns.
Well, it's the same thing putting it back together, just reverse.
Oh yeah, I think I see 180 out. I'm usually really good at that, but just the first time.
You said you're good at doing everything backwards. Just take it apart backwards.
I can convince. I don't have to meditate on it. Listen to some backwards records.
Yeah.
And if you
Alice
miss
in Wonderland.
anything, you get to do it all over again. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be funny to keep this thing running a little bit longer. I think 63 years of service is pretty good. I don't know when the rebuild happened, but just the same, it's like even on a rebuild, this thing gets used.
And you
like
use it. You're running the freeway with it.
Yeah, you were telling me, that freeway driving's hard on these things. They're really not meant for it. And it's kind of a bummer too, because it's like I don't really want to drive the freeway. It's just the other option is driving in it's like Thailand, it's like Bangkok out here. It's street light to light traffic. It's not good for this thing either. But got to get myself a country road.
Come on up.
It's about time, huh?
Like I
Get
said,
myself
Idaho's got plenty of room. You're more than welcome.
Me hanging out with Mike.
I'll give you one of our T-shirts. It says, "Idaho sucks. Go home, tell your friends."
You need one. Well, right on, guys. I just wanted to pop in and update you all. Everybody, I appreciate the moment of silence and everything, and everybody's talking me up, and I appreciate all the support. I just wanted to pop in and kind of explain what was going on a little better than me yammering through text.
It looks a lot better now. It's on the up look.
Yeah, pretty much.
From when it was sitting there. Boy, when you turned it over there on the freeway, and I was like, conk, 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 conk. And oh no.
Yeah, that was no fun. I was worried, but I mean, I was still kind of worried. But what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pull that cam gear off, see if you still have the noise. And then,
Pretty much. Better get at it though.
There.
Well, I'll leave you guys to it. I'll probably join the show via chat. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks,
Be
Amit,
safe.
for coming in, man.
Check your fluids, right?
Oh, all the time. Otherwise, you'll keep that metal hot in the wrong way.
Yes.
Oh, that's good news. He's been working on that truck all this time. Good guy. Oh, that's all he is. There you are.
Yeah. They kicked off. I was trying to see what the hell was wrong with it. I'd be awful tempted to pull that gear and see what that thing is doing.
That's the last years of the stove too.
That engine might survive. They ran that through.
They're hard to hurt.
Yes. What the hell did they quit that? 63, I think. 62 or 63.
63 was the
shifted
250. That's when they went to the regular.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I had a guy come up here with a 62. He had us build him an engine. His had the old 235. And then the 63, I wasn't sure.
When the Apache went away, the stove bolt went away.
Did it?
Yeah. 63 was the first just S or C10 or, you know.
Yeah.
That's when they dropped the Apache.
Yeah. The last Apache that we ever had around was a 61. And then the 62, I was never sure. That's that truck is very different too. I had forgot how different they were until that guy showed up with that one here. And it had, you know, I was thinking it was only 60 or 61 that had that strut front end or
torsion bar
front end and all that. And then and he showed up with that one. Of course, I guess that was just one of those middle children I forgot about or something. But I said, oh shit, that's still the old style truck. But
we had a 63 C10. It was just C10.
Yeah,
that's what I learned to drive stick in.
Yeah, I had several
on the road.
You know, through the years, we used to really be into those. I had a 63, 4, 5, and 6. I think we had one of each at you know, different times. But they were a fun truck. They were a neat little rig. But you know, like everything else, you get an urge for something else and you sell it and go get something else.
The only thing bad about the Chevys though is they weeble wobbled when you put weight on them. They really weeble wobbled. The GMC didn't do that because it had leaf springs in it and everything. Yeah. The GMC was made to haul.
But that Chevy, if you put the 3/4 ton coils in the back, because their 25 had coil spring suspension, you take those springs, put them in the half ton, and they weren't bad. It took a lot of that out of them, and you didn't completely lose your ride, and it would stabilize the truck a lot. We used to do that pretty regular because we loaded them pretty good.
we did ours too. That's what we hauled our firewood with.
Yep.
Did the dump runs with.
Yep.
Yeah, she was a work truck.
They were a good work truck. They were a lot of fun. Like I say, we of course always hot rodded them a bit and put a little wider wheel on them and stuff and bigger engines and whatnot, but we still worked them. They were still a farm truck. And we had a lot of, we enjoyed those things. Had those, and then of course went to the 70 models, and you know, just all up through the line through the years. You know, as they got more expensive, we changed over to something else.
Get better, Brian. I sure know what that's like. Best thing I ever did is when I got all mine out. Hey, got another one in here.
Hey, good evening.
Sidewinder?
How y'all doing this evening?
Good to see you again.
Oh, good seeing you. Is this working?
Yeah,
it's
you sound
working.
good. So what you been working on, Sidewinder?
There
Looks
we
like
go.
you're still trying to figure out your new one too.
Oh,
don't feel bad. Me too. I changed horses midstream with mine. Now I got to figure out what all these new buttons do.
Yeah, just trying to figure this thing out.
So how's your chop top coming there? Everything?
I'm waiting for some pieces. It's I I got some trim stuff, and I got to figure out a way to seal those the top of the windows and the vent window up to the roof, because the factory stuff originally had that flipper, and of course now that roof, the curvatures all move forward, so you can't put a flipper in a curve. So I'm waiting for a 70 Chevelle roof rail setup, but we're gonna try and convert it so
Work that in.
yeah. I'm waiting for that. I just got the gauges for it. That's got a few more things I've got to do to it, then it can go on down the road. And he's supposed to take it somewhere to get it wired, and then take it somewhere for the interior. He was after me to wire it, but I've already done way more on it than I was supposed to, and I've pushed everybody else back. So
I hear you.
Hopefully I can get that stuff done up. And I still have to do something about the windshield, which appears like it's going to be Lexan, because when they did the roof, when they chopped that roof down, I didn't do that. The window, the center post and the A pillars are not the same angle.
Oh,
So
no.
I had bought windshields. I laid them up there, and I found somebody that would cut them. When I laid the windshield up there and got ready to mark it, I realized that it lined up with the A pillar, and it was sticking off the center of the center post about 2 inches at the top. So that put an end to glass, because hard enough to get somebody to cut it, let alone twist it. That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Because that's the split.
I'm going to do.
Curved
I'll do
glass.
Lexan. Yep. Yeah. There's not a lot of curve to it, but there's enough that nobody wanted to cut it. And but like I said, I did
Like a
find somebody. But
Volkswagen
then
Beetle.
once I found out once I found out it had a twist in it, I was screwed. So I called the guy in and showed him what the problem was, and he said, "Okay, go ahead and put Lexan in it." So not that he really had a heck of a lot of choice, unless I was going to cut the roof and start remodeling it. So I'm kind of late for that now. It's all painted. I mean, I can do it, but it's just a fortune, realistically, it doesn't work. So
Yeah, but you only go as far as the customer's willing to work it out for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, boy, then you start throwing your work away.
That's it. And then honestly, like I say, I'm so far behind on everybody else's stuff at this point. It needs to. I mean, I want it done well. I want it done where everybody's happy, but it needs to get done.
Away.
Yeah. I mean, it's a running driving car now, and it's kind of a neat car. I brought that car home from Arkansas from my father in the late 80s, and he sold it to this guy quite a while after that. And then the guy never did anything with it until a few years back when he took it to this guy that chopped the top. And then he brought it to me to get it finished up. And I ended up painting it on my father's birthday. So
Oh, really?
didn't even realize it. That's kind of my mother called me up and said, "It was your father's birthday." I said, "Oh yeah, I'll be darned." Painted the car on his birthday, so it's kind of neat. I was glad to be the one to get to kind of finish it up, and get it going again. So I got a chance to drive it, probably the first time it got driven in 50 years. So I thought that was pretty neat. So, but neat project, fun project, but needs to go on to its happy home. And,
what year is it?
It's a 52.
52.
Yeah, it's a 52, chopped 6 inches with a 49 Ford back window. So it's definitely, it's got a cool look, But I mean, when you start chopping hardtops, you sure have bought yourself a pack of trouble, because
Yep.
I've had those vent windows in the front, they're all cast, so I had to figure out how to weld that stuff, because I had to shorten them and then widen the top of them. And fortunately I had some scrap stuff laying around, so I was able to experiment with different TIG rods. And I went into the welding supply, and I helped the owner with a generator at a horse show years ago, and he remembers it. Unfortunately, he started getting me different stuff. He said, "Try this and this and this and this and this," and he said, "Then call me, tell me what worked, and I'll send you what you need." So
you're the only person I know that's done it.
Yeah, well, it's tricky, but it's doable, and it holds. Because I had to one of them warped a little bit as I welded the upper rail. It warped a little bit. And so I warmed it with a torch and just kind of gently, and then I put a twist on it, waited for it to cool. And I got it back. I got it straight. But of course I put a lot of load on it right behind the weld, and the weld didn't break. So I'd call it a good weld. I definitely stress tested it. So, you know, I mean, but then I had to tip the windows in, you know, because of course as you drop the roof, all the angles, you know, the roof is angled a little bit. So what's like this when it's 6 inches higher is all of a sudden like this. So I had to cheat all the glass channels. I had to cheat I shimmed the vent window, and oh god, they definitely opened up a can of worms that they didn't take any time to think about what this was going to do, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a challenge, you know. I've had fun with it. I've actually, it's one of those jobs that I guess could have really been a pain, but I've actually, for whatever reason, I've enjoyed it. I've had fun with it, but it's definitely thrown some curveballs at me. But I'll do a video.
It's cool to do something like that because, you know, it breaks you out of the norm, and you got to do weird things like figure out how to weld. Yeah, that old trim, hood ornaments, any kind of old trim they used back then. That was the stuff they swept up off the floor and recast.
Garbage. Yeah, it's garbage.
It's total garbage. That's why it pits and does all that weird stuff. So how you got that to weld is just cool.
It's similar to welding aluminum, but you can't see it as much. You know, aluminum, you will see that change, and you can find your puddle once you get used to it. This stuff, it was very easy just to blow it away. You wouldn't really see it, so you sort of have to tempt it once in a while and just see if it'll take the filler rod. You know, but when it does, it flows in very much like aluminum, and you can see when it's actually welding, and you're not just dabbling crap on top, and it would carry a current, which I didn't even know if it would really carry a current, but it does. So.
Wow.
I mean, I guess I should have known it would carry a current. They chrome it, so. But it's funny stuff, but there are guys that weld it. You go to the chrome shops, they will repair that stuff. So I knew somebody knew how to weld it. I just couldn't find anybody that could tell me how to weld it, or I could just send it to have it welded. So I had to figure it out and learn it. But it was interesting, you know. But I mean, like I said,
like you said, you're the first one I know that's welded it.
Yeah. Well, I remember being at a car show years ago, and there was a guy selling these rods. He was using a map gas torch and a rod, and he was welding pot metal. And we bought some of those rods and came home and promptly couldn't do it. So I have no idea how he was doing it, but he made the presentation look real. And anyway, it didn't work on any pot metal we had. But
my dad bought a bunch of them too. Probably the same guy.
Yeah, probably.
He came to the car show here a couple of years ago. Dad ran right out and bought some of them. I've never used them though.
He put on a hell of a show, and he was welding beer cans together and doing all kinds of stuff with them. He made it look like you could just weld anything. And you know, you're standing there watching the demo, and you think, yeah, it's got to work, but nope, didn't work. Or at least if it maybe worked, we didn't have the right technique. I have no idea, but it seemed to me like we bought snake oil.
This week we'll be flipping the front spring perches on the shop truck, hoping for almost 2 inches in drop, huh? I remember, I was real young, but a guy that was working for my dad at the time, he worked over in the body shop part with my dad's partner. And I was sweeping up, just getting done, and he had one of those little, it was about the time the mini truck craze was just starting to take off. He had a little Datsun pickup, and he was in there. heating the springs with the torch. My dad come out there and go, whoa, 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 whoa. About that time, that truck went, woo,
Oh,
didn't come back up.
yeah. Yeah, and anytime I ever saw anybody try that, the spring breaks where they heated it after a while, too. Or right beside it. That's, yeah. There's a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of girls. You know, I notice in this business, there's a lot of people that they prove to me that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. You know, we see a lot of interesting stuff come in the door. I think the lion's share of our business is fixing something somebody else started. Yeah. You know, so, I mean, you have to figure out how to make it work. So it's problem solving. It's interesting, but it's my God. Sometimes you wonder. It's like, you know, take a moment. You know, try to have a plan. Because a lot of that stuff, if they did have a plan, I seriously don't understand how they came up with it. But you know,
oh man, how many basket cases you get dropped off?
Oh yeah.
But
I'd say 80,
you develop
80.
a skill from doing that. You can actually look at a bolt and say, oh, that's a door bolt for a 53 Chevy.
Yeah.
Right there.
If it's a tri-5 Chevy, I pretty much know every part out of a bucket. Chevelles and early pickups I'm pretty handy with too. Some of the other stuff people bring me though, there's no way in hell I'm going to know them. They, you know, because they'll show up with some awfully strange cars sometimes, you know, some foreign stuff and whatnot that I've never even seen, and they'll hand it to me in boxes and bags and expect me to put it together. And for some miracle, we've always got it done, but my God,
and they always give you the good one right at the start.
Yeah,
I've already done all the hard work for you.
Yeah,
I took it all apart.
Yeah. 5 years ago, or 15 years ago, or whatever. Well, you know. Anyway, I will say this: most of those people, if they've gotten down that road and they've decided they want it fixed, they don't cry too much about the bill. They know,
no,
you know, they've done enough to realize it's difficult, and you know, they're kind of willing to pay at that point. So, you know, they're not.
It's different. When I went to work at the resto shop, it's a totally different crowd because you're working with somebody's toy, something that they want.
Yep.
Now
exactly.
that same guy takes his daily driver into you to
do
a timing chain on. Do it as cheap as possible. They'll fight you over the bill, all of that stuff. But if it's their toy, they'll roll the book at it.
Yeah. You know, the sad part of it is though, you know, you can only milk that rabbit so much. You make more money on Joe Blow's daily timing chain than you do on a resto job, you know.
Oh, good Lord, you do.
Yeah, you know, I just don't want to do it. So I go out and I do I stick to the resto stuff, but I don't really in the wintertime. There's no part of me that wants to stand under a dripping vehicle, you know, trying to do a brake job and crap like that. So I stick to the old stuff, but it's seriously if I was just wanting to make money and nothing else, you know, do brakes, exhaust, and oil changes, and you know, kick 10, 15 of them out a day, and off you go. You know.
Yep.
Fast
you can get them in, fast you can get them out.
Yeah.
Little bitty jobs are the ones you make the money on.
Yeah.
Big ones, pull an engine, rebuild it, and put it back in and get it running again. Yeah, that's a time sink, and that's the ones you usually.
But
you make money on it, but you make more doing all those little ones.
I mean, that's what we do. You know, you make a living, but you're never going to get rich. If you can buy and sell some rigs on the side and whatnot, you can do pretty good. But all you're doing with those other things is making wages. You know. But I mean, like I say, it's what I like to do. So that you know, if you're working and you like your job, it's not so bad.
Yep.
If I had to back into work every day, I'd probably find there's not enough money to keep me here. But
I find something else.
I like, yeah, I like doing it. But anyway, I'm thinking it's getting ready for bed here for me now. But I worked till 11 o'clock last night on the kids' race car, so it's
On the Chevy too?
No, he's got that 57 twin turbo car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the one with the flames there and everything.
Now, you guys, if you haven't checked this guy out, you got to check him out. He's got some great things going on.
We got a lot of different things going on. The problem is when I start a video on one project and I get on 5 other projects, I got to get back. Everybody forgets about the other project I started the video on. Yeah. But that's that's just the way we roll. So I just film a little bit of what we're actually doing. We don't make a video. We just show what we're doing. But no, the twin turbo car is honestly it's a stock 57 Chevy chassis, body, everything. It's just gotten way too fast for me to be comfortable with it. So I've been last couple of days there we're trying to do some safety stuff on it. It needs we're doing a fire system and putting a funny car cage in it, new parachute, just a bunch of stuff, just because if something goes wrong, it's going to go bad wrong, because it's very fast. So
you get up into them kind of numbers, the slightest little thing can get ugly real quick.
And he's always been able to straighten it out and get it down the track, but I've seen him come very, very close enough times that I've just I wanted to build a better car, and we just haven't got it done, and he wants to race this one, so I'm thinking, we just have to do some safety stuff. So and so we're trying to just clean up our act here a little bit and be a little less cowboy, and because we have an outlaw track. I go up there and they'll let us. They almost hand us the keys. Do what you want. But we got to straighten that out. It's just somebody's gonna get hurt. So we're just trying to get things sort of organized on that thing. But it makes for a few late nights, But race season is upon us. So they had the first race this weekend, and we didn't go. So we stayed home and did safety stuff. So I guess we're being responsible for once. But it's
what's his best time in it?
He's running to the 8 there. He's run 5:23 repeated.
5:23,
and that was on a track that wasn't really prepped. So on a prep,
that's
on a prep, I'm pretty sure we can go 5:0, somewhere in there on a good prep. We were just starting to lay more power to it on the hit, and then anyway, we were finding more speed, but we were running out of fuel. So we ran out of fuel pump. So now we've sped the fuel pump up and done some other things to try to we don't want to, because the problem is you're going to detonate the thing, and kill it in a heartbeat. So it's got a gear drive or belt drive fuel pump on it, and it was underdriven. So now we're driving it 1-to-1. So we'll pick up a whole bunch of volume. But so we had to do that to go faster. But then going faster is even more dangerous. So, if he runs it out to the 8 and he jumps on the brake pedal, he goes across the quarter mile at an 850 at 97 miles an hour.
Whoa!
So if you ran it out, it would probably tickle the 7s, So, like I say, an all steel stock chassis 57 Chevy, that's a little too fast.
That's
it's 3,800 pounds with him in it. It would hit really hard. So it's we haven't dared run it a quarter mile. It's flat out. It's a very short shutdown at that track, and it would be. We probably will do it at some point just to run a 7 with it, But it's going to happen once.
After all this stuff is done to it.
Yeah, that'll be the end of it. When it's going real dependable, you'll probably hold it down and run it through once. It's got enough gear, but he's running a Liberty 5-speed, so right now he's going through the 8th and 4th gear. So we geared it up to try to use the clutch more on the hit, because to try to get enough slip out of the clutch and not not have it slip up track. We try to put enough preload in it to not slip up track and enough weight on it. But if we do that with a low gear we had, it was just locking up at the hip.
It's just locked. Yeah.
So by going up gear, which we could have left in second and done the same thing, but we broke the gear anyway. So we went up gear, and now the clutch is working really well. We've got that nice slip on the hit, and then it's it locks in up higher, because we run a slipper clutch, so you can adjust your preload, you can adjust your weights. So centrifugal advance, you can adjust that weight so as the RPM comes up, it just locks it in. So, but of course it does, it affects your RPM, like your RPM of launch will affect how quick the clutch locks and everything else. So, you gotta play with it a bit. So by raising the gear, it allowed us to have that slip and start to really make it go faster. But then it's you're always trading, no matter what you do, you're always trading.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, he can go quarter. He has enough gear to go quarter. So we'll try it at one point there, but I'm not in a big hurry to see it. It's you're standing there on the starting line, you got no control whatsoever, and you're watching your kid hurling this big fat car down the track. It's a little stressful. So,
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah, no, it's he calls me crazy because I take my street 57 will run 1098, and of course I've got a lot belt and open face helmet, and he says I'm crazy, but he's not standing where I'm standing when I watch him go down with that thing of his. So it's I think we're probably both nuts, truth be told, but anyway, we have fun doing it. Hopefully we'll stay on this side of the soil and not
it comes with it's got to be part of it.
Yeah, well, I guess if there's no,
you got to be a little bit
risk, no risk, no reward, they say. But, runs in the family. Let's say it that way.
But that's cool. You're
right,
putting
guys.
a little more safety in it.
Yeah, no, there's a point in time where you need to just smarten up a little bit. I mean, we have all the stuff here to do it. I had chrome molly tubing laying there in the corner, and we get the bender. It's stupid not to make it. So we're just taking care of business. We had the fire system sitting on the shelf here for a while. We bought it and never put it in. So again, all stuff that needed to happen that just wasn't happening. So we're if we get that done, we're going to put some data acquisition in it, because I can see a little bit on the RPM graph, what the clutch is doing, but we've got a clutch speed sensor we're going to put in there, and some shock travel sensors, that's Junior's domain. I'm not the computer guy, but it'll probably help us a little bit, because he wants to get it in the 4s, and I think it'll do it, but it'll be it'll take some doing. The car's heavy enough. It's going to be tough to get it in the 4s, but I think we can. We're close enough, and with a little bit of data, we can actually see what's happening. It'll probably do it. But anyway, that's a future problem.
Taking a car that was designed for a 55 mile an hour world, and yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's it goes across the 8 at 145, I think, something like that now. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's I mean, if he showered it down through the quarter, he'd be going over 175 easily. So it's yeah. Oof.
I've never even been that fast. That's beyond me.
Back in the day when it was just an NA car, it would run 993. I guess we ran we ran 990s kind of repeated, and I drove it. It'd go across the line 132, 133. It was felt pretty speedy, and I don't know now. I'm not even sure I want to get in it and hold it down all the way. It might be a little too much. Anyway, that's for the young people. But anyway, all righty, guys. We'll catch you all later.
Great seeing you, everything. Everybody
Good
go
stuff.
check him out. He's got great stuff. If you're into old school, how they used to do it, oh man, you got to go check him out.
Hey, I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Stay out there, stay safe. Oh, with that, I think I'll go ahead and shut her down too. Good 2 hours this week. Yeah, I kind of burned up a bunch of them again last week, so I gotta keep a little light on the StreamYard hours this week. But I like to thank everybody for coming out again. And I promise I've got video coming. I just got to get off my lazy butt and get it out there for you. Sidewinders, thanks for coming in, man. And oh, what was your name? You're a little bit of a new guy, but that I'll find you here. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for showing off your work, and never be ashamed of your first attempts at anything. Your first attempt is a trophy. Like he's got a little bit of tiger stripe in it. That stuff is beautiful because it shows you exactly what you need to do, and it's just wonderful. It's cool to see people learning like that. You're cool. Thanks for coming in, and everybody, get out there and keep the metal hot. And we'll all see each other again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, right? We'll see y'all later on the next one. Thanks for coming.